Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, the once unusable West End Golf Course has now found a new purpose. We're live with what county commissioners have decided is next for the area. And in New York, former President Trump's fate will soon rest in the hands of a jury as his hush money trial is set to come to a close. And North Central Florida avoided the severe weather that hit much of the country over the holiday weekend. The UF weather team is tracking what's in store for our area this week. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
After 5 years, the battle for West End Golf Course has come to an end. This is First at 5. I'm Noelimary Suarez. Alachua County Commissioners met this afternoon about what fate of the West End Golf Course will be. WUFT's Bianca Smith attended the meeting and is live at the golf course. Bianca, you spoke with neighbors who say this is a welcome change.
Residents say that the area desperately needs a park to help with their physical and mental health. Commissioners aim to use this space for the World Master Athletic Indoor Championship in March of 2025, an event that is projected to bring in some 10,000 visitors to the area. Now, city commissioners say that before they can do anything, they have to clean up the area, like demolish some buildings and cut up some grass. Reporting live from West End Golf Course, Bianca Smith, WUFT News.
Deputies in Alachua County are searching for a shooting suspect. They were called out to a home on Southwest 20th Avenue to investigate gunfire that neighbors say they heard around 2 this morning. Shortly after, a nearby hospital reported 3 male victims being admitted with gunshot wounds. If you have any information about the shooting, you're urged to call the Alachua County Sheriff's Office. Over the Memorial Day weekend, 2 separate shootings took place within Ginnie Springs. The Gilchrist County Sheriff's Office is still investigating the incidents and haven't provided any details about the shootings. They have only announced help from the agencies like FDLE and FHP to find out what happened. And fire rescue officials in Marion County are working to learn what caused the barn to go up in flames overnight. It happened around 3 this morning on Northwest 200th Street. As you can see, the fire from the workshop spread to nearby sheds and trees as fire rescuers arrived on scene. Crews say more trucks had to be called in to get the flames under control as homes and a propane tank were nearby. No one was hurt. Your work week is heating up as the temperatures will stick in the 90s for much of the week. UF forecaster Carol Rydberg is standing by with we could see some relief from the heat.
As we look at the campus cam, we see clouds covering the UF campus right over the stadium and the O'Connell Center with a little bit of sunshine poking through. Though currently the temperature is 91 degrees and it feels like 97 degrees with the winds coming from the west at 13 miles per hour with gusts up to 21 miles per hour. Looking at temperatures right now, it ranges from 94 up to Jacksonville up to 85 down in Daytona. The temperature down in Daytona is due to the system of storms coming in, lowering the temperature. Zooming out, we see down in Gainesville and Jacksonville overall very clear skies. Coming up, we should expect some less humid temperatures, just as hot, and a wetter weekend.
Severe weather interrupted the holiday weekend for millions of Americans from Texas to Massachusetts, bringing with it deadly tornadoes across multiple states. Over the Memorial weekend, there were more than 70 reported tornadoes across 15 states. 24 people were killed, including 5 in Kentucky. The state's governor said the twister was on the ground for nearly 40 miles. President Biden has already promised federal aid to the governors of those impacted states.
We know we had 1 tornado on the ground at least 40 miles. And a number of other tornadoes that spun down and spun back up. We are awaiting the National Weather Service to confirm.
Since the start of the year, there has been more than 1,000 reported tornadoes across the country, making 2024 the second busiest start to a year where tornadoes were ever recorded. Closing arguments are underway in the hush money trial for former President Donald Trump. As Jay Grape reports, the next 2 days we will see each side summarizing what they have presented throughout the time of the trial, convincing the jury they have proved their respective cases.
Former President Donald Trump charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in connection to hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in an effort to hide an alleged affair from voters. The former president once again blasting the proceedings as he entered the courthouse this morning.
But this is all election hunting, election interfering. It's going after Joe Biden's political opponent because he can't do it himself, and they're helping out. And we have a judge who's highly conflicted. He happens to be corrupt.
His defense team began the closing arguments attacking the credibility of the key witness in the case, former Trump attorney and confidant Michael Cohen, at one point calling him, quote, the MVP of lying, and quoting again, the human embodiment of reasonable doubt, going on to tell jurors there was no reason to try and hide the allegations, that they had already been reported, and that with no solid evidence, the only decision in this case is a, quote, quick and easy not guilty. The prosecutors getting their turn after a lunch break here, and they started with that controversial witness as well, Michael Cohen, saying that, look, they didn't get the chance to pick the witness that they wanted, that Cohen was the one involved with what they say is a crime here, and that's the person they had to use to work through this case.
Again, that is Jay Gray reporting. Late into Memorial Day, former President Donald Trump asked a federal judge to reject a gag order in the Florida classified documents case. Special counsel Jack Smith's office attempted to file a gag order on Trump to prevent him from publicly talking about the law enforcement that searched his Florida home in 2022 for classified documents. This is in light of Trump's recent criticism that the FBI had a deadly force policy during the search, a policy the Bureau says they have for every warrant they execute. Trump's attorneys claimed this gag order request was, quote, unconstitutional censorship application. A new report from Florida Fish and Wildlife says boating accidents decreased last year. 659 accidents happened last year, 76 fewer than in 2022. FWC says the accidents resulted in 59 deaths, down 6 from the previous year. However, Florida again led the nation in both statistics. Monroe County, which includes the Florida Keys, had the most boating accidents last year, while the most deaths occurred in Miami-Dade County. Drowning was the leading cause of death, according to the report. FWC officer Chris Boley says boat captains always need to pay attention to their surroundings.
You don't know if the boat next to you is someone who rented it for the day and it's their first time, or a commercial fisherman who has, thousands of hours of experience on the water. So you need to be extra vigilant in making sure you maintain a proper lookout and making sure that you're looking out for any factors that, could lead to danger or a boating accident.
In addition to deaths, 400 people were injured in boating accidents last year. There are more than 1 million registered vessels in Florida. Coming up after the break, the passing of Memorial Day is marking the most dangerous time for one group of drivers. Why traffic leaders want parents to be vigilant when on the roadways this summer when First at 5 returns. We'll be right back.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Memorial Day is the unofficial start to summer and what traffic officials say starts the 100 deadliest days for teenage drivers. AAA officials says there are more than teen driving deaths between Memorial and Labor Days than any other time of the year. They say these days don't just account for the deaths of the drivers, but their passengers as well. According to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, half of the year's teen driver deaths take place during these 100 days. These crashes increase with the growing number of teen passengers over the summer months. In last year's 100 days, nearly 20,000 teenage crashes resulted in 83 deaths. Distracted driving plays a role in 60% of these crashes. Teen passengers are the biggest distractions, with cell phones and in-car entertainment being the second biggest. The other 30% is due to speeding. AAA reminds teens to buckle up and stay vigilant on the road this summer. Israeli tanks have reached the very center of the city of Rafah in Gaza. That's according to NBC News. This indicates that Israel has no plans on stopping their offensive on the Hamas that they work through Gaza. This is just days after their strike on a camp for displaced people that housed 2 senior Hamas leaders that were in a compound within the camp. According to emergency services, at least 45 people were killed and hundreds were injured during the attack. An NBC reporter on the ground in Gaza says the images they are seeing are tough to watch.
That caused that firestorm which just ripped through the camp. People sleeping in tents made of woods and of plastic, those tents going up in just a matter of seconds. Now, the White House calling those images heartbreaking.
The White House says that Israel has the right to pursue Hamas, but it must protect civilians. Protesters with the University of Florida Divest Coalition spent the holiday weekend demanding a ceasefire to the violence in Gaza. In a statement, the organization said some 150 protesters gathered last night at Depot Park to call for an end to the genocide. During their march, the group also stopped Southeast 4th Place to call attention to the recent sweeps of homeless encampments by the city. The organization says they have been demanding action both abroad and here at home. They want partnerships to end with companies they say are attacking with the unmanufactured bombs. Alachua County Public Schools are providing free meals to students during the summer months. District leaders say children 18 years and older can receive free breakfast and lunch during the summer months through their Nutrition Services Department. The summer meals program is open to any child regardless of family income. The meals are served at more than 70 sites, which include several schools. A new component of the program introduced this summer is several mobile sites across the county, including in High Springs and Hawthorne. The meals start Monday, July 3rd. You can find more information about the meals and sites on yourchoicefresh.com. Hot and humid air in the place, but there are few storms over the area. We will track them and drop in humidity coming up.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Using the campus cam, we can see a couple of clouds over the area with a little bit of sunshine sprinkling through. Right now our temperature is 91 degrees Fahrenheit and it feels like 97, with the winds coming out of the west at 13 miles per hour and gusts up to 21 miles per hour. Looking at the radar, we can see a couple storms to our south over Orange City, DeLand area, but zooming out, we can see overall the north central region of Florida is pretty much clear. Looking for Gainesville, the hour by hour, we can see at 7 p.m. it's going to be 89 degrees Fahrenheit, and as it slowly decreases all the way until 5 a.m. where we see it's going to be 71 degrees with a chance of fog. If we look at the morning lows, we see 69 in Gainesville, and it ranges up to 72 degrees in Jacksonville, and then 77 all the way down in Cedar Key, and then 56 in Daytona. So tomorrow at 8 a.m. fog is possible with a high of 72 degrees Fahrenheit. At 12 p.m. sunny and hot with 88 degrees. And then at 4 p.m. sunny and less humid at 94 degrees. With our humid temperatures, we see that tomorrow is going to be 73 degrees Fahrenheit for the humidity, but it's going to slowly decrease to 61 degrees on Friday with a 30% chance of rain. And then 58 on Saturday, and then raise back up to 62 on Sunday. This is shown with the dew point as we have a front coming through, showing that the dry air is coming down slowly and it's going to be affecting us over the week. For our 7-day outlook, we see on Wednesday to Friday we have mid-90s degrees as our average temperature, or our high temperature. On Saturday to Monday it's going to be 80s, high 80s with storms in the area, and then Tuesday it's going to go all the way to 91 with partly cloudy skies.
Coming up in sports, one of Gators men's basketball's key players from last year is returning to Gainesville for one last season. And Gators softball is heading to the College World Series for the 12th time in program history. All that and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Daniel Haviv. Gators men's basketball received word yesterday afternoon that guard Walter Clayton Jr. will return to Florida for the 2024-2025 season. Clayton Jr. was arguably the Gators' best offensive player last season and helped lead the team to the SEC championship game and an NCAA tournament berth. He averaged 17.6 points on 43.6% shooting from the field last season. Clayton tested the NBA draft waters and did have a solid outing at the Combine, but he ultimately decided to return to the orange and blue for one last ride. Gators softball beat Baylor this past weekend to win the Gainesville Super Regional and advance to the Women's College World Series. Florida will face Oklahoma State this Thursday night. It will be a rematch from their game earlier in the season when Florida was shut out 3-0 at home. In that game, the Gators racked in only 3 hits. It was a pitcher's duel that showed Keegan Rothrock struggle for much of the beginning of the game. After this loss, Florida went on an 11-game win streak to get their season back on track. First pitch is slated for 9:30 p.m. from Oklahoma City. And for Florida, if they win, they'll face the winner of Texas and Stanford, and if they lose, they'll face the loser of that matchup. The 4 teams on the other side of the bracket include Alabama, Duke, UCLA, and Oklahoma. Staying on the diamond, Gators baseball managed to sneak in the NCAA tournament and will be the 3 seed in the Stillwater Regional. The 3 other teams in their region include the hosts, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, and Niagara. Florida will face Nebraska in the first game of the regional on May 31st with first pitch slated for 3 p.m. And for the SEC, this year's tournament tied their previous record for most teams sent in by one conference. The SEC also has the top 3 seeds in the nation, which is the first time this has happened in history. And one final note, the Tampa Bay Rays start their 3-game series with the Oakland Athletics tonight. First pitch is slated for 6:50 p.m.
And before we go, one last check on the weather.
Yes, so our 7-day outlook is looking pretty warm with high mid-90s from Wednesday to Friday with a 30% chance of rain on Friday. Saturday and Sunday is going to be a little gloomy with a little bit of storms in the high 80s and then right back up to the low 90s on Tuesday.
Thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5. But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all of our social media platforms. Have a good night.